Tuned in to www.oghuskyradio.com, broadcasting live from the east side of Los Angeles, worldwide. Archiving infinite elements of hip-hop. There's more than just 4. Look them up. But we're not here to discuss that. We're here to discuss the legendary to us, and we'll say it. Go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
BUS166, MSK, STP.
For those that don't know, we're going to get into the history on this guy. And if you don't know what he represents or what element, go kill yourselves, or, because you should know about this guy. I didn't ask you, but Bus, man, with the name, where'd the name come from, man?
GK came up with that. I was writing something else.
What was the other name? You have to tell us the other name.
I was writing game. I had no game. I had fucking no game when I was. I mean, I don't have any now. Either. 40, but anyway, obviously I couldn't write that. I guess there was gamer. So I was driving a 1966 Volkswagen bus. That's pretty much it.
So that's where it came from.
Yeah, it was a bombing mobile back then,
Damn, good on
the most fucking conspicuous vehicle you could choose.
What is it like? Oh, no, they're just stoners. They're not.
Yeah, I guess.
They're going to get out the car. Bomber, piecer, tagger.
I kind of did everything. I was a bomber in the 90s. I did a lot of freights, a lot of street spots. Downtown LA was one of my favorite areas, freeways, and did simple pieces too. Do more pieces now, but back then I was more about the illegals.
Was it more just to get the name up for the fame, or?
I don't know. There was just this drive to do it. I don't know. The fame was cool. I mean, it was cool to go to a yard and be recognized by your peers and everything, but I don't know. It was always like there was just something else driving us to do it,
Do you still haven't pinpointed what it is after all these years?
No, I have no idea. It's probably the same thing that makes you draw as a kid or continue to draw. I mean, there's just something about it,
Who are some of the influences, man, like that,
well,
influence BUS166? Because whole generation like knowing about, the downtown. You know what I mean? The stuff you did throughout downtown in the 90s.
Well, the downtown, like, that whole thing was kind of, for me, in my head, it was an isolated kind of, like, culture that was downtown. Like, the first time that me and GK and I were on our way home from a hardcore show or something, a punk show. And he's like, hey, I say we drive through downtown. And I didn't even realize why at the time. And as soon as we get in there, we're driving down Broadway and all the grills are down, and there's like sleaze throw-ups from 1988, 89, 125, Rock, Chrome, Euler, Decline. That building on Broadway that was like abandoned forever.
For years and years. Those
it was like
stories.
You just get this feeling when you drove by it, and it was just like, I got to be up down here, and I got to be up among these people, that it's like, I don't know. I'm got goosebumps now just talking about it.
It's a trip that you brought up that building. Like, damn, someone has to have some sick ass archives. Like, that was a monument.
Hell yeah, dude.
It's a trip. You got me like tripping out right now too.
Remember that? I mean, it was like you couldn't.
That was like downtown.
I almost got in so many accidents because of that building. You're just driving, like looking out the window because it was all stuff all the way up. It was
windows amazing. And then the ledges, everything was just
everybody was up there.
That's right. What got you into GRAFF, man? Like, was it somebody like, oh, this was just, I know you got before like game and all that. Like, what was it that drove you in that direction?
I don't know. It was just, I don't know. It just sort of showed up, in the early 90s, 90, 91. I just started seeing it around and, got into it probably like a lot of people did, just messing around with paint markers and stuff. But then, I don't know, that thing that we talk about, it, took a hold,
That's about like 93. 93 was just.
Yeah, I mean, like 92, I really wanted to be a real graffiti writer, but like I didn't know how to go about it, or.
But you're around people like GK. I mean,
that I met him in '93, and that's when everything changed. I mean, he,
he pretty much mannered you, and
Yeah, and I was older than him. It was,
Trip
weird,
out.
He was like 15. I was 18 or something. But he was, he really, he put in that time. He
So you're already, in 93, you're already rolling amongst legends in this. So you're in good company.
he was coming up too.
Yeah, he definitely
he was one of my early influences with GK when they were in that crew AD. I don't know if you remember that, the Valley crew. It was like GK, Fate, Havoc. Towards the end, they got Saber in there, and that's where the whole MSK sort of started from that.
Once again, OGHuskyRadio.com, Instagram at BUS166, at BUS166, Instagram. Or make sure you guys support STPLA.org. He's working with them a lot right now. So this is pre-internet, man. So has the internet helped Graph coming from you? But you kind of had like a hiatus too, though, right? You stopped. What year we talking about? Big hiatus.
Yeah, 98. I kind of trickled off, and I went to college, studied design, graphic design.
So you sold out to the man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wanted to make a living, man.
we're talking about, but even were you anti anything? Like everybody Graph, oh no, we're political, we're against this. Was it for you? Was it that or
no?
What was it? A sport?
It was that thing, man. It was something that making me do, like not making me, you know what I mean? It was like something that made me really want to do it. Putting your stuff like just on the side of one of those buildings in downtown, among all these other people. I don't know.
And then, what was it for yourself or was it for the fame? Like, really, like, because people.
I honestly don't know that I was ever really super driven by the fame. Like, I don't feel like that now.
Yeah.
I don't think I felt like that back then, but it's hard to put myself back in that place. But it's like, the fame was cool. Obviously, when you get recognized by people that you've never even seen before, or there was one thing where I felt like a big shot, where I was at some fucking art show and I'm signing somebody's book, and the next thing I know, there's like another book, and then there's another book, and I'm like, oh my god,
I made
cool
it.
I am. Yeah. So I mean, who wouldn't like that? I mean, not a lot of people get to experience something like that.
Because then people don't realize too, like, it's something that it doesn't leave you. Like, you might not be active out there tearing it up, but you're still like, there's still letters in your fucking head that like have to come out, or like, you know what I mean? You still see stuff. Is it still like that for you too?
Yeah, even when I was like totally disconnected from Graff, I'd be in my buddy's car. We're on our way to go fishing or something, and I'm just looking at like little walls and stuff. Like, oh man, it'd be cool to just go hit that shit. Everybody'd be like, what the fuck,
But what found you? So then, how did you find your way back? I mean, because obviously you're not active anymore.
No.
But you are active with STPLA.org.
Yeah.
And a lot of artistic cats involved in that. So, what got you back into actually coming back to it?
Well, this year I kind of came back, kind of with more passion about it than I've had since back then, I guess. Because I sort of tried to come back between 2006 and 2010. Couldn't really find my way in the scene because, from 98 to 2002, I was like pretty well disconnected.
Yeah.
And everything changed after that. So with the internet and everything. So I sort of faded back out. But this time when I came back, it wasn't even really to come back and get involved in Graff. It was just... I happened to come across like a couple messages, one from Bruno and one from Jess, both from STP, kind of reaching out, just seeing how I was doing.
Oh, sure.
And I hadn't talked to Bruno since I think it was 96 or something like that. And it was just weird to see a message from him, and I was like, do I really want to open up this whole...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's hard for me. It's hard to kind of like bring something like that back into your life. It's like a whole different animal. So kind of got off track there, but Yeah, I mean, I saw what they were doing with the nonprofit. Bruno had turned STP, kind of, he'd start that.
When you're active, did you think, oh, you know what, eventually I want to be a piecer, this was like my long-term goal or something, like, you know what I mean?
No, I didn't have any, like, long-term goals for GRAFF. I mean,
once downtown was killed, like I did it.
well, no, I mean, I was, after that, I kind of was more into freight, so I was doing a lot of freights, and then I was getting more into doing pieces, so I was yard hopping on the weekends, you know, hit like 2 or 3 yards on the weekends, and I was doing that every weekend. So I mean, I really liked just about every aspect of it, other than like, I was never really like into the high profile stuff, like heavens. I mean, I couldn't climb a heaven, but
you scared of heights? Real shit?
Yeah, I don't really like heights. I mean, I'm not a big fan of it. That isn't what deterred me. But I actually physically tried to climb one, and I couldn't do it. I was like, I don't know how you guys are doing this. Like, just whoop, whoop. And they were up there.
Hands and shit, hands and shoes. They're like, how the fuck do you do that?
Yeah, I don't know how they did it. I couldn't do it. But then, you know, back then, a lot of the people that were doing those high-profile spots were getting like tracked down, and raided and all that stuff. And I can't handle that kind of stress, you know, if you're sitting there worrying, you know, when that's going to happen. So like all my bombing was kind of like, well, not all of it. I did do some in your face kind of stuff, but like most of it was, you know, among other pieces of graffiti, you know, I'd find those landmark walls and stuff where maybe it wouldn't be as noticed.
One of the things you were telling me off there is that you're involved in motion design animation now.
Yeah.
That's what you went to school for. But GRAFF helped you. And it's a dope ass story. So anybody that's out there, especially youngsters right now, like they could kind of understand, you know, what how did GRAFF help you for what you do now?
Well, the story that we talked about was it was a direct what do you call it? Like there was a project at school that was this notorious project for being this tough project that like people had to stay up all night to do it. It was second year when typography is being introduced into the curriculum, and that was always kind of like, you know, wait till you get into type, you know, you'll be pulling all-nighters all night and all this stuff. So the project was the teacher prints out a bunch of words. You're supposed to wax the back, and you cut all the words out, and you just got to get them, put the words together so that they're spaced properly. And so I cut all my words out, and I space them all out, and it takes me, you know, 45 minutes to do the whole thing. And everybody else is talking about how they're going to stay up all night working on it, and I couldn't figure out anything else to do, so I'm sitting here thinking like I totally am blowing this project. Everybody's going to be working all hard, and I just slapped this thing together. So I go to bed and get back to class the next day. Everybody's up all night, all ragged looking. They're still in the studio, and so we get all our stuff on the walls, and turns out, you know, my stuff didn't even need any changes or anything, because the GRAFF, I mean, it was just so easy to put all those letters together. I mean, it was the balance of, you know, every time you would do a straight letter, you're doing that stuff. You're balancing, you know.
Well, did you just naturally get that, or someone taught you that?
Well, I mean, I learned from Eclipse. He was the guy that, you know, my styles when I first got an MSK were awful. You know, I didn't have, I had no tags, I had no bubbles, everything. I look at some stuff from '93, and it's like, it's humiliating how bad it is. But it's '93, so it's like, it's '93. You know, whatever. It was a long time ago, but it was terrible.
Blame the paint. It was the paint back then.
Yeah. We didn't have all the same stuff that you guys have. But yeah, it was.
We were talking about how, like, Eclipse, you know, showing you the letters. The
so that, I mean, GK was schooling me. He was teaching me the ways. He was kind of showing me the ropes and introducing me to people, which was, you know, obviously like one of the biggest things is you need to be able to network with all these people. So he was giving me all those introductions to a lot of the AWR guys and all that. And he introduced me to Eclipse, who is like the letter master. You know, he's a, I don't know, big, huge influence on a lot of people. He's kind of started styles for a lot of people. And so he drew this little group of letters for me. It was just this little scrap sheet of paper, and it was like a big pen drawing, you know.
Yeah.
He didn't even go over it, you know. And he just gave me like, you know, there was a bubble on there. There was like a straight letter on there, and there was one, you know, if you did like 3 colors, maybe it's kind of a piece. You know what I mean?
Yeah, little wild style, not too wild.
No, it wasn't even wild style at all. It was simple, but it was like, I guess, a little more than a throw up, I guess, you know. And that piece of paper is like critical for me.
So you just bit all his styles, like?
Yeah, that's what he told me to do. He gave me this piece of paper, and you know, I'm a young guy, well, young in the scene,
yeah,
you know, at the time, and he gives me this piece of paper, and he's like, here, you know, do these letters. And I said, well, should I, like, you know, I can't just rip off your letters. And he said, no, just do them exactly like that. Don't change them. And I was like, you know, really? Just, you know, is that cool? Am I allowed to do that? Like, everybody's going to know that they're Eclipse's letters, you know, because he didn't change them. He didn't customize them for me. They were his. So, but, you know, I thought I was going to get a bunch of shit about it, but I started getting props. Yeah. And you know, at first it was hard to be like, oh yeah, those are Eclipse's letters, and they're like, fucking, you know, I know, obviously, you know, but that's it, you know,
some good man. You wouldn't think people, you know, wouldn't even think like, no, that's biting, or that's like, no, that's mentoring. Like, from that was like the whole basis of like that pushed you even further, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's like obviously if you take stuff without, you know, without an experience like that, if I just went online and, you know, it's like, I'm going to take
in this
that
interview,
stuff.
Not even mention Eclipse. Like, nah, man, he stole my style.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's, I think it's, you know, it was a crucial thing for me to have that experience, you know, and excuse me, and to get that piece of paper. I need to find it. It's somewhere.
Yeah. That should be at that scratch, that archive, that museum, man. They need to put that up in there. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it was, I don't know. I tried to do that too for people along the way, and I don't know. I don't have the same abilities as Eclipse does, but I don't know. I think it's really the mentoring thing. I mean, I think it's a critical part of passing this information from one generation to the next.
Once again, OGHuskyRadio.com, Instagram at BUS166, STPLA.org. How about who would take you riding? You do solo missions? I mean, you're already around GK, but you know.
Yeah. Well, GK, I mean, I'm not talking shit and I'm not putting anybody on blast, but like I told you, I sucked back then, right? I was awful. So there's no way that like GK was like, hey, this is this dope guy, you know?
Yeah.
So I know I sucked, but I had a car, so I think that's where the relationship started. I mean, you know what I mean?
Oh, shit.
I don't blame him either. I mean, he's a young kid. He doesn't have any transportation. I'm a guy that wants to get into this culture.
Uh-huh.
And
so the bus was what got you in MSK then?
Essentially, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because that it did, you know, that's fucking true. I didn't even think about that. Cause
that's why we do this, man. We get
it all out into the light. Right.
Oh shit! And your name was Buzz.
Yeah, well, I mean that's kind of you know.
Yeah, shit. But even later on, like, it was just solo missions, or?
No, well, later my girlfriend's mom at the time when I was really heavily into bombing, she was down to take me bombing. And so we would go bombing on the weekends when I wasn't working. And then I got laid off and I was able to collect unemployment. I was getting something like $120 a week or something, enough to live off like 7-layer burritos and whatever. And so I told my girlfriend's mom, like, I want to fucking make my mark on downtown LA. Like, I really love what those guys are doing out there, you know? And so she pretty much like made that happen for me, you know.
So
she she knew her way around. I mean, I never knew my way around. Like,
Yeah.
like it takes me forever if I move to figure out how to get back to my house, you know. So I would never have been able to really, you know, navigate around the way that you need to.
Yeah.
And so like over a 3-month period, it was almost every night.
Every night for 3 months.
Well, there was, you know, days
Yeah.
off, but it wasn't that hardcore.
That's a lot of paint though too. What was the paint back then? I mean, sponsorship and all that kind of shit. You know, you shot him an email and shit, or
Yeah. So
now, how did the paint? Where's the paint coming from in '93 to '98? Because it's not happening anymore. I want everybody watching this to be like, oh shit.
No,
you know?
it was the whole rack and return thing. I don't want to get too into
Yeah.
the specifics.
But so it dates back then. It's nothing new, huh?
If they're still doing it now, then yeah, it does. It was 1994 the first time we did one of those things, and I honestly, you know, I feel an obligation to people, young people, to not like glorify this kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, it did result in lots and lots and lots of paint, which was what was required then, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without it. Which, but like I said, I mean, it's hard for me to. I'm a 40-year-old man now, so you know, I got a young guy in our. We have a young guy in our crew. This guy Rios, and a lot of times he's sort of my gauge for like things that I feel comfortable talking about, because it's like, you know, would I want him to go and do that? I really wouldn't. You know, I'd say, hey man, you know, let me help you with the paint. I got money. You know, I mean, I'm not rich, but you know, I'd rather we go and get dollar cans and figure this out than you do that and risk.
Is that
you know.
the mentoring too, though, right? Because you've been through it and know.
Well, yeah. I mean, I got through this shit unscathed. You know, like barely any criminal record. I got caught once.
Congratulations.
Like, yeah. So I mean, I'm really lucky in that sense. So I mean, I can't pass the knowledge that, like, say Bruno, he's you know, he can tell you everything that he lost, you know, through it. I didn't really experience any of that stuff, so I mean, I can't pass that kind of knowledge down to him. But at the same time,
but
you know,
still to have that concern, I mean, you know what I mean? That's dope, man. You know?
Well, yeah, I mean, he's like, you know, if your crew is what STP is, it's a family. So I mean, like, I wouldn't want my real blood little brother, you know, getting in trouble. The same as I want this kid. I mean, he's finishing high school and he's all pumped about it, you know. If he says, I'm gonna hit the spot tomorrow night, I'm like, hey man, why don't you fucking focus on your school right now?
Yeah,
you know?
homework. That's the old guy talk.
Right, it is. I can't help it. I mean, you know, what are you gonna do?
Definitely, though. I definitely see it. You know, definitely, and anyone older, and it's dope that a lot of people won't speak on it. You know what I mean? Like,
really?
Yeah. It's not the cool thing. You know what I mean? But to look out, and it's the same thing. If it's crew, it's crew. You gotta, you know what I mean? That's pretty dope that you guys do that. Who's hitting right now? Who do you see around that you think? Because I'm gonna put it out there, man. A lot of older cats won't give nobody props, man.
They won't give anybody props.
I'll be like, just my crew's the only one getting up. Like, who do you see?
I'll give props to that guy AIDS.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
His
too.
name makes me uncomfortable. I'm going to say that. You know, but yeah, he's everywhere. He's hitting all this. I mean, with the exception of the life risking stuff, I never really was down for like that little climbing in little bridges or whatever they're doing. Yeah. But he's hitting all the little cutty spots that I used to like, and
so
I'm sure there's a lot of people that I'm seeing, but that
just offhand that stick.
Yeah, he's and I've talked about him before, yeah, I mean.
So now what is it for BUS166, man? Is it the come out of retirement, you know what I mean?
No.
And hit all city or all state or hit every single freight?
I don't have that kind of energy, man. No.
So what's it now then? What does GRAFF become for you now?
Right now, I mean, I have this drive to become a better piecer, I guess. I mean, I started when I started doing GRAFF again, and I guess in 2006 when I came back, and I tried to change my style up, and you know, I didn't want to do the same shit, and so but it didn't really lead anywhere throughout that time. But this year it's been kind of like a different, it's a whole different thing for me. Like having all the guys from the Pace there, like, you know, we're in constant contact. Like the social media thing is like, you know, we're all together on this like private Setting the Pace group. So like every day there's like 20 people talking to each other, you know, from crew and stuff. So I don't even remember what we were just talking about. What were we
No, just where it's become now. Like, I mean, you're not gonna, you know,
get
back into the
yeah, I'm not gonna go
element.
back and hit the streets or anything, but no, I'm liking being part of you know, just the culture. I mean, meeting a lot of people now. Like, I've met so many people this year because Bruno he's a really he's the guy that brings everybody together, you know. And so now it's just kind of being involved in whatever ways, you know, helping at the Venice Art Walls. I'm there almost every weekend watching the walls and helping Bruno with the foundation, STP Foundation stuff. So I mean that, and then piecing. I really like to paint again.
Nice.
You know.
So have you adapted? Are you still using Krylon, School Bus,
Rustos.
Yellow?
Yeah,
Rustos,
I'm still using
Rusto?
Rusto.
Serious?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up? Are the cans too expensive now that you had to pay for them, or?
Well, I mean, yeah, that stuff's. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to justify spending like $75 on a piece, you know.
Yeah.
But you could do it with Painter's Touch for a lot cheaper.
Want to thank you for coming through once again. Instagram at BUS166 or stpla.org. You guys could hit him up at the Venice Walls. He's out there. And I want to thank you for your time, man, and
of course,
definitely just for
having
archiving, you know, your story here, man. It's greatly appreciated, man.
I'm glad to be here, and appreciate I don't know, you giving a shit.
As always, OG Husky Radio. Stay posted. More interviews to come.